Okay, in section 2.4, we're going to talk about special pairs of angles. There's only 2 boxes to cover. I have some PowerPoints that we'll talk about together as a slide at the end. The first thing we want to talk about are these 2 words, complementary angles and supplementary angles. All right? The only hard part is remembering which one is which, but I'm going to give you a little help on that as well. So take a look at this picture that I have drawn for you right now. You should see 2 angles. One angle measures 39 degrees and one angle measures about 51 degrees. Those are approximate, okay? So these 2 angles are complementary, right? And what do you notice about if you added up those 2 angles? Yeah, what do you think?
They make a right angle.
They make a right angle. It's true. What else?
There's no box. So
But there's no box, right? Okay, that's true. There is no box. You can't assume anything, right? So the only thing that we want to focus on right now is the definition. So if we have 2 angles that add to 90 degrees, then they are complementary. Okay, they are complementary. So 2 angles, and the important word here, ladies and gentlemen, is 2 angles. It can't be 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 angles. 2 angles, one complements the other. Okay, complementary angles, 2 angles that add to 90 degrees. All right, so then the other idea, the other word that we have here, take a look here. I have 2 angles. One angle is about 160 degrees, somewhere, and the other angle is about 20 degrees. And what do you get if you added up 160 and 20? What would you get?
180.
So it must be the case that it's 2, again, 2, very special, 2 angles that what? Add to 180 degrees, all right? So here's the hardest part, like which one is which? Well, here's how I remember it. Which letter in the alphabet, since complementary starts with a C and supplementary starts with an S, which letter comes first, C or S? C. And which number comes first if you're counting up, 90 or 180? Aha, so there you go. So complementary means 90, supplementary means 180. That's always helped me remember it. Maybe it will also help you remember it as well. Okay? Complementary means 90, supplementary means 180, and there has to be 2 angles that add to either 90 or 180 to be complementary or supplementary. You guys on board so far? Easy enough? Okay, the next idea we're talking about is this thing called vertical angles. It's a funky name because vertical you think of up and down. But instead of when you see vertical angles, I want you to think of angles that are across from each other, because vertical, like 3 and 4 are not necessarily vertical, but they are across from each other, okay? So right now, taking a look at the picture that I have drawn for you here, all right? What can do you see any relationships at all? Anything stand out to you by looking at this picture? Yeah, what do you think? Yeah.
Like on the opposite sides, look about around the same.
They look about the same. Angles on the opposite, like, can you give me a pair of what you mean are opposite sides? What do you mean by that? 1 and 2, those are across from each other. They look to be about the same measure. Who agrees with that statement? You guys agree with that? Okay. What else? Can you give me anything else that you see? 3 and 4 look to be about the same. Okay. Now, what if I take this drawing here? What if I move it like that, and I move this over like this, Okay? Does your theory still work?
Yeah.
Does 1 and 2 they still look the same?
Yeah.
And 3 and 4 they still look the same. Okay. Well, what if I take this again and I move it down like that, and I move this one maybe over a little more like this? Okay. Are 1 and 2 still the same?
Oh, yeah.
And are 3 and 4 still the same? Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you guys agree that this line here, well, first of all, it's a line, so we can assume what?
Straight.
It's straight. So what can you tell me about angle, I don't know, 1 and 4? They are what types of angles, 1 and 4? No. 1 and 4.
They're supplementary.
They are supplementary, right? What makes them supplementary? They add to 180, okay? So this one and this one, so 1 and 4 are supplementary, add to 180. And 3 and 2 are also supplementary, add to 180.
1 and 3 are also supplementary.
And 1 and 3 are also supplementary. And 2 and 4 are also supplementary, right? Okay, so what you're doing is you're catching on to everything that we need to know here. So the idea here is that 1 and 2, these are a pair of vertical angles. There's another pair of vertical angles, and those angles are 3, and 4. These are what we call vertical angles. And the thing that you just figured out was that vertical angles are what?
Across from each other.
They are congruent. Okay? This is a theorem. Yes, we have an actual theorem that says vertical angles are congruent. So if it's a theorem, are we allowed to use it in our proofs?
Yes.
Is it one of those reasons that we listed on the reason side? Yes, it is. If we have a theorem, and this is the theorem that we have been given that vertical angles are congruent, meaning that angle 1 and 2 are the same, and angle 4 and 3 are the same measure, right? Because they have the same shape, right? Because congruent means same shape, same size. So we have a theorem now that says vertical angles are congruent, and if we have a theorem, then we are allowed to use it in a proof. Is that true? You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Oh.